Yahushua shall possess the gate of his enemies. So it was promised that the Lord was going to possess, all right, the leaders of these heathen nations, starting with, the leaders of Esau, all right, so-called white man, which is the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and the rest of the banking families, all right, and then the rest of these heathen nations, their leaders. He gonna possess you, all right. And in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned unto his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Okay. Alright. Now this is, I don't really go into this book that much, but, the elders made mention about it. It's got history. On some points they go off, but on other points they be on point. And I want to highlight the same account, all right, from the Antiquities of the Jews, out of the works of Josephus, all right, because it goes a little bit more into that account, all right. It's book 1, chapter 13, point 1 through 4. All right, it says, concerning Isaac, the legitimate son of Abraham. Now Abraham greatly loved Isaac, and begot, and being his only begotten, and given to him at the borders of old age by the favor of the Most High. The child also endured himself to his parents still more by the exercise of every virtue, and adhering to his duty to his parents, and being zealous in the worship of God. So Isaac was, he was passionate about, Yahweh, all right, because Abraham taught him about that, and it was in his spirit, all right, and that's the same characteristics the Lord had, being zealous in the worship of the Heavenly Father. It says Abraham also placed his own happiness in that prospect that when he should die, he should leave this his son in a safe and secure condition, which accordingly he obtained by the will of God. Because Abraham was rich. He had gold, silver, manservants, maidservants. Alright. He wasn't no poor man. He was well established. Alright. Who, being desirous to make an experiment of Abraham's religious disposition towards himself, appeared to him and enumerated all the blessings he had bestowed on him, how he had made him superior to his enemies, and that his son Isaac, who was the principal part of his present happiness, was derived from him. And he said that he required this son of his as a sacrifice and holy oblation. Accordingly, he commanded him to carry him to the Mount Moriah, and to build an altar and offer him for a burnt offering upon it, for that this would best manifest his religious disposition towards him, if he preferred what was pleasing to God before the preservation of his own son. Alright. Now Abraham thought it was not right to disobey God in anything, but that he was obligated to serve him in every circumstances of life, since all creatures that live enjoyed their life by his provision and the kindness he bestowed on them. Accordingly, he concealed this commandment of God and his own intentions about the slaughter of his son from his wife. Okay, the scriptures speak about that. Alright, get that real quick. Okay, alright, showing that Abraham, our forefather, he wasn't all into that fucking pillow talk with his woman, or telling his woman every goddamn thing, which that's a cut on you, 14th Street Israelite clown. Alright, and you niggas that's trying to bring the woman into all this. Okay, keep them in a proper perspective. Alright, and don't overemphasize it. Okay, this is Micah 7 and 5. It says, trust ye not in a friend, and put ye not confidence in a God. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. Okay, it said that about Abraham. Alright, let me get it. It said, now Abraham thought it, okay, let me find it. Accordingly, he concealed this commandment of God and his own intentions about the slaughter of his son from his wife. Because women are emotional, man. She would have started wilding out, Sarah. So he didn't tell her that he was, the Lord commanded him to sacrifice his son. He concealed that, all right, from his wife, as also from every one of his servants. So his servants didn't know that. Otherwise, he should have been hindered from his obedience to God. And he took Isaac together with 2 of his servants and laid what things were necessary for a sacrifice upon an ass. He went away to the mountain. So that's good advice right there. So when the elders say such things as don't tell your woman, don't try to be like, bring your woman into this. Don't be talking to her about everything, and don't be telling everybody everything, because what they're going to do, that's going to become a hindrance, all right, from you obeying the Heavenly Father. All right, so all you Family Guy niggas, you need to listen up, man. All right, you Carl Winslow type niggas, all right, you Fresh Prince, what was it, Carl Winslow type niggas, all right. I forgot the other nigga, but both of them niggas was faggots. But you Bill Cosby type niggas, man, all right, all into your family. All right, you better take heed to Abraham, all right. And he took Isaac together with 2 of his servants, and lying what things were necessary for a sacrifice upon an ass, he went away to the mountain. Now the 2 servants went along with him 2 days. But on the 3rd day, as soon as he saw the mountain, he left those servants that were with him till then in the plain, and having his son alone with him, he came to the mountain. It was that mountain upon which King David afterward built the temple. Well, really, King David offered a sacrifice there. When you read about when King David, Satan tempted King David to count all Israel, and the Lord plagued Israel. Okay, he plagued them, and to cease, the angel Lord from killing all Israel by the plague, he had to offer a sacrifice at that same place, and that same place became the place where David instructed Solomon to build the temple, which we already went through that. Okay, all right. It says, now they had brought with them everything necessary for a sacrifice except the animal that was to be offered only. Now Isaac was 25 years old. Okay, so he was still a young guy. All right, probably around the same age as most of the brothers. All right, that's in the truth. And as he was building the altar, he asked his father what he was about to offer, since there was no animal there for an oblation. To which it was answered that God will provide himself an oblation, he being able to make a plentiful provision for men out of what they have not, and to deprive others of what they already have, when they put too much trust therein. Wow. Okay, it says to deprive others of what they already have, when they put too much trust therein, that therefore if God please to be present and propitious at this sacrifice, he will provide himself an oblation. So Abraham said, yo, when people put too much trust therein, the Lord taketh away. And that's what he's going to do to a lot of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans out here, man. He's going to take away all those things that you trust therein, mainly you women, all right, to try you. Okay? All right, that's some wisdom right there. It says, as soon as the altar was prepared, and Abraham had laid on the wood, and all things were entirely ready, he said to his son, O son, I pour out a vast number of prayers that I might have thee for my son. When thou wast come into the world, there was nothing that could contribute to thy support, for which I was not greatly solicitous, nor anything wherein I thought myself happier than to see thee grow up to man estate, and that I might leave thee at my death the successor to my domain. But since it was by God's will that I become thy father, and it is now his will that I relinquish thee, bear this consecration to God with a generous mind, for I resign thee up to God, who has thought fit now to require this testimony of honor to himself, on account of the favor he hath conferred on me, and being to me a supporter and defender. Accordingly, thou, my son, accordingly, thou, my son, wilt now die, not in any common way of going out of the world, but sent to God, the Father of all men, beforehand by thy own Father, in the natural of a sacrifice. I suppose he thinks thee worthy to get close or get clear of this world, neither by disease, neither by war, nor by any other several way by which death usually comes upon men, but so that he will receive thy soul with prayers and holy office of religion, which the word religion just means worship, and then it goes back to the Latin word religio in the etymology, meaning to hold back, to restrain. Okay? It says, and will place thee near to himself, and thou wilt there be to me a successor and supporter in my old age, on which account I principally brought thee up, and thou wilt thereby procure me God for my comforter instead of thyself. Now Isaac was of such generous disposition as become the son of such a father, and was pleased with this discourse, and said that he was not worthy to be born at first, if he should reject the determination of God and of his father, and should not resign himself up readily to both their pleasures, since it would have been unjust if he had not obeyed, even if his father alone so resolved. So he went immediately to the altar to be sacrificed. Okay. Alright. And the deed had been done if God had not opposed it, for he called loudly to Abraham by his name, and forbid him to slay his son, and said it was not out of a desire of human blood that he was commanded to slay his son, nor was he willing that he should be taken away from him whom he had made his father, but to try the tempter of his mind, whether he would be obedient to such a command. Since, therefore, he now was satisfied as to that his alacrity and the surprising readiness he showed in this his purity or piety, he was delighted in having bestowed such blessings upon him, and that he would not be wanting in all sorts of concern about him, and bestowing other children upon him, and that his son should live to a very great age, that he should live a happy life, and banquet a large principally to his children, who should be good and legitimate. And he foretold also that his family should increase into many nations, talking about the Israelites, and that those patriarchs should leave behind them an everlasting name, that they should obtain the possession of the land of Canaan, and be envied by all men, When God had said this,